Welcome back to After the Battle. I'm your host as always, Daniel Levi, your co-host Shaq. We're going to be talking UFC OKC, Michael Chiesa versus Kevin Lee. And Shaq, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. I'm excited to talk fights again this week, and things been going good, so let's keep them rolling.
Man, it is max bet season. You know, John Tuck came through easily, but Marcin Tybura, that was the sweat of the century, man. But somehow, by the skin of his teeth, as Benson Henderson would say, came out with the victory.
Yeah, man, it was a good fight. You know, he slowed down in that second, but, I mean, he rallied and, you know, did what he had to do in that third round to seal off the win.
Indeed he did. And now we're looking for more opportunities. The season continues. And let's get right down to business, man, because, look, we got Tony Martin. He's minus 135. The comeback on Johnny Case is plus 115. It's been a while since we've seen Johnny Case fight. It hasn't been since that fight in Australia against Jake Matthews. We all remember what happened there. And Tony Martin is coming off the first win streak in his UFC career. Who are you giving the edge to in this one, man?
Man, it's a good fight. You know, when Tony Martin, when both of these guys first came in, I mean, they had pretty high expectations. You know, Tony Martin went in there against Rashid, his first fight, then Beneil Dariush's second, and, you know, he took some severe beatings in those. But, I mean, he seemed to come back. You know, now he's not fading late like he used to. Now he's actually getting that experience underneath him, and he's prevailing in those late round situations. You know, Case, he came in another high prospect, had a good run. Then, you know, he stumbled his last fight against, well, let's say his last couple fights, because the Jan Cabral fight, he didn't look so great. I mean, it was a close decision. It could have went either way, but he got through that. And then against Jake Matthews, you know, we know what happened. You know, he got hurt in that soft little frame. But, you know, Case is actually a lot better than I thought, man. I mean, he's got some clean little flashy techniques he throws. He likes to slip off, like kind of Dominic Cruz-esque a little bit. You know, he used to train with him, and he's got some little flashy things that I like. You know, I'm going to take Case in this one, you know, because I think he can stuff the takedown. He's training with good dudes at the lab that can prepare him for that. And, you know, even though Tony's getting better at not breaking, I think he is prone to getting wobbled at times. We've seen him wobbled a lot. And, you know, when things don't go his way, I know he's been prevailing late, but this is such a grudge match. These two have been talking so much. I feel like when things won't go his way this time, I feel like he might not look for the door, but just diminish. And I think Case is just going to stuff the takedowns, you know, land the cleaner, more flashier techniques, and edge out a decision here.
You bring some very good points to the table, man. And, you know, with Tony Martin, he's the guy that he goes from fighting on the regional scene to all of a sudden he's fighting Rashid and Benny in the UFC. You know what I'm saying, man? He got fed to the wolves right away. But he persevered. Now he's on a win streak. He's starting to put it together. And, you know, I spoke to him on Half the Battle, and he said that he got to the UFC by just being an athlete. But now he feels like he's got the skill set to compete at the highest level. And, you know, in that first round, he goes out there and he looks like a world champion. It's just after that first round, you know, whether it's the fact that he is fighting high-level guys such as Benny and Leo Santos and Rashid Magomedov, or whether that's just who Tony Martin is, I do feel like he proved in his last couple fights, such as the Felipe Oliveri fight, where he had to overcome early adversity, go out there and get the finish in the third round. And then also in the Alex White fight, you know, he had a very dominant first round. Alex White goes out there, cracks him with a big left behind the ear, stumbles Tony Martin. You know, maybe he would have quit in the past, but I feel like he might be over that point, man, and he's persevered. Now, the thing with Johnny Case is, like you mentioned, that soft frame. I'm not sure if the new testing regulations have anything to do with that or if that's just how he's built, but the way he was getting hit to those body shots and the way he was reacting against Jake Matthews, that's not something that, you know, that's something you got to take note of. Like, you know, you see, you know when people talk about Matt Brown, you know, in the body, and Cowboy Cerrone as well. So you definitely got to take note that Johnny Case has a very soft frame here. And also, he kind of has that bully mentality going that like we like to talk about with guys like Derek Brunson and these front runners, where when it's going early, I mean, he looks like a world champion. He looks amazing. And, it's funny because his opponent, Tony Martin, is the same way, right? But with Johnny Case, that Jake Matthews fight, that first sprawl he had, that was beautiful. The way he reversed that takedown and got in top position. But he ate a couple body shots, and all of a sudden his body language is changing. He's not as confident anymore, and he gave up in that fight, man. And I do think that, I don't always think that the bigger guy is going to win the fight, but I feel like the size of Tony Martin, he's got some serious size going into this fight. I feel like he's going to be able to wear down on Johnny Case and eventually tap him out or win the decision here. So I'm going to go against you here, man, and I'm going to take Tony Martin to get it done.
Nice, yeah. You hit some good points. A lot of people say, when he lost to Jake, two of the judges had him up 2-0, and when I rewatched it, I think Jake did win the first round, but it was close. You know what I'm saying? Case could have easily won that just by being flashy and what's the word I'm looking for? Cute. You know what I'm saying? Just real cute. But it's gonna be a good fight, man. Tony Martin is hell on wheels that first round. You know what I'm saying? You remember that Beneil Dariush fight? He came out and put it on Benny that first round, had him leaking.
You put it on Rashid too. He almost tapped out Rashid.
So Tony Martin's got some. Like you said, he's an athlete.
Yeah, he definitely is. Now, next up, what time of the year is?
Max bet season.
Indeed, it is, because we got Eric Koch. He's minus 340, so a little bit of action has came in on him. He's taking on Clay Guida, who's plus 280, and Koch open minus 180. I could have hit that. I elected to wait a little bit, taking a different spot, which I like better. But I got it at minus 235, which I'm totally cool paying that price because I think it should be minus 400. And before I get to my breakdown, why don't you tell me what you think about Eric Koch versus Clay Guida?
Plain and simple. Guida's on his way out. Let's look at his last few fights. The Dennis Bermudez fight, he goes out there and gets smashed on. Then he goes against Thiago Tavares, shoots in one takedown, gets choked out. Then, a lot of you people, in the Ortega fight, a lot of you people have the assumption that he was up 2 rounds, but let's be honest here, he wasn't. He lost the second round. He looked a little bit better. His hands got a little bit better, but we know Ortega has the tendency to play around and make things a little bit too close and, be a little lackadaisical in there. And I feel like Ortega was in complete control in that second round. Guida's been switching camps a lot. I feel like he's lost. I feel like 1 minute he's at Jackson's, the next minute he's with Edmond, the next minute he's in Colorado, the next minute he's in Team Alpha Male, man. I feel like he's searching for things as these vets on their way out tend to do sometimes. And the thing with Eric Koch is, don't worry about the layoff. Because he's used to fighting on layoffs. Eric Koch pulls out a lot of fights, but he always comes back. And one thing about Eric Koch that we know is Eric Koch can stuff a takedown. Go back and look at that Jonathan Brooken fights back in the day. Against the fence, he stuffs everything. I know he had those little mishaps against Lamas and Poirier, but that was, we can attribute that to him cutting so much weight to get down to 45.
And to the fact that those guys
are world-class dudes. You know what I'm saying? Those are top 5 featherweights at the time. And then, the Cruikshank fight, me personally, I just think Cruikshank was seeing a doctor for that fight, if you know what I mean. And plus Guida has nothing. Guida is not doing that. Look, Eric Koch's going to come out here. He's going to stuff the takedowns. He's going to blast Guida with the left kick to the body, the left high kick, and the straight left. Even though that's the only thing Eric Koch throws, he's kind of reminds me of Till offensively, you know what I'm saying? Darren Till offensively, just because he only throws left side shots. But it's going to be enough here, man. Guida's not going to catch him with anything. Once he feels the power of that left kick, then he's going to start questioning himself. Like I said, he's lost, and Eric Koch's going to finish him somewhere in the second round.
Eric Koch is one of these young vets.
The new breed.
You know what I'm saying? He's only 28.
Yeah, and he's been in the game since...
But he's so experienced, and he's already been there with world-class competition. And another thing about this fight is that Eric Koch is going to have a lot of size on Clay Guida, and it's going to matter in a spot like this because when Clay Guida does his game plan where he tries to push you up against the fence, I guarantee you right now, Shaq, that Eric Koch is going to turn him around easily.
Separate and kick.
And when you look at the posture of Eric Koch in his fight against Shane Campbell, the way he would turn him around up against the fence, his awareness in there nowadays, his takedown defense, his takedown offense, he just looks like, a next generation Pettis. His hand fighting, the way he parries and slips and counters, and he's that next generation fighter, man. It's funny because there's a debate of, is there really a next generation fighter and this or that? Because at the end of the day, fundamentals will win fights.
I think he is fundamental, though, man.
Oh, I 100% agree.
Very fundamental.
I 100% agree. But it comes down to this guy does have the fundamentals. You know what I mean? Well, but it's advanced to a point where when you watch the way that he fights the hands, when you watch the way that he slips to the outside and throws that head kick, when you watch when Dustin Poirier drops him and Eric Koch gets him in a triangle that I guarantee you 95% of anyone in that division would have tapped. And, let's talk about the Cruikshank fight. I can tell you right now, I will put down 100 units that Clay Guida can't get his legs up like that. You know what I'm saying? Clay Guida ain't about to go pull off a combo like that. Like, that's all there is to it, man. I think that he's going to go out there, like you said, the left side shots, whether it's the liver kick, the head kick. I'm not going to be surprised if it's a knockout, if it's a choke, or if it's a 30-27, kind of like that Brookins fights where you just stuff takedowns all 3 rounds. Much respect to Clay Guida.
He's had a great career.
Look, in his prime.
Beat Rafael.
This is a guy that beat RDA, Pettis, Nate Diaz, Josh Thompson, Gomi. Like, Clay Guida, he's done it all, man. You know what I mean? He's a stud. We respect him a lot. But at this point in time, and like you mentioned, I'm not worried about the fact that Eric Koch's only fought, one time in 3 years because
he's been doing that his whole career.
The fact of the matter is, when he came back last time against Shane Campbell, he looked the best he's ever looked. He looked reinvented. And, man, he really looks like now he's starting to find himself at 155 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. He's not cutting all that weight anymore. I mean, go on his Instagram. Look how big he is right now, man. He's in a really good place. The gym's doing good. He's training with Showtime, who's getting ready for a fight. He's got Emmanuel Sanchez. He's got Mike Rhodes, Sergio. I mean, the vibe in the gym is good right now. Not saying that Guida's vibe in the gym isn't good, man, but for a guy like Koch who needs to be around, things like that, man, especially coming off the layoff. And like I said, the layoff is not an issue, man. He's come off layoffs before. Even when he used to fight like once, twice a year. So the layoff is not an issue here. So you thinking a finish or all 3 rounds? I'm thinking a second round finish. I think the first round will consist of Guida ankle diving, holding him against the fence, but we're going to turn him, and we're going to win those clinch exchanges. And, we're going to separate. We're going to blast him with that left kick, and, he's going to feel it. He's going to go back in the corner after round 1. Not broken, but on his way. And then he's going to be bouncing up and down, which he is known for. Exactly, and he's going to burp in the corner. And then we're going to crack him with a head kick in the second round, and then it'll be over. Yeah, so I put 5 units on Eric Koch. It's max bet season, and I looked at the under, and I understand that there's a very high possibility that it could cash. But when I play an under, it has to be a situation like last week with Tuck and Gomi, where I know without a shadow of a doubt that I didn't even think that fight was going to go past the 3-minute mark of the first round. It didn't even go past the 1.5-minute mark of the first round. You know what I mean? In a situation like that, when you get an under at plus money, you play it hands down. But here, it's a gamble. You flip a coin if you're going to play it or not. But I think it will cash for those that take it. But I'm personally just going to go ahead and put the 5-unit max bet on Eric Koch. So let's get it. Now next up, man, Daryl Horcher. He's minus 400 and he's taking on Devin Powell, who's plus 325. Now I don't often like to say that someone's the worst fighter in the UFC. We've made jokes in the past about Ruan Potts and guys like that, but at the end of the day, we respect anyone that steps in there. But when it comes down to betting,
and we saw the footage on on Devin Powell. Dude, talk about bottom of the barrel.
I mean, this is how this fight breaks down. Basically, they are rewarding Daryl Horcher with the easiest opponent they could find for taking the Khabib fight on short notice. I mean, he took that fight on a week notice, and took his ass whooping like a man. And the circumstances of that fight were just terrible. I mean, they put him through hell for that. And, they're giving him the worst guy on the roster. No offense to Devin Powell, but me personally, I think he's in the UFC because he's from Maine. Dana White's from Maine. They were in Maine on that Looking for a Fight show. And, he just wanted to put someone from Maine, in the UFC. And we saw in the Drakkar Klose fight that he doesn't belong. He's a tough guy, but, I mean, guys, go on YouTube, watch his local scene fights. And, I mean, he's in there getting taken down by the Ted Worthingtons of the world and the Tony Lopez's of the world, but I mean, he's not up to par, man. Look, Daryl Horcher is coming off a motorcycle accident. We need to say that he's coming off a bad motorcycle accident, but I really don't even think it matters, man. I feel like he could show up for this fight at 60-70% and still edge it out if it wasn't a clean wipeout. I honestly think that Powell is that not up to par, you know what I'm saying? But I just don't think Powell's UFC level. Horcher's got some very good boxing. Go back and watch his Bellator fights back in the day against Chris Ligori. I mean, he puts it on him like with the left side shots, and he's got a right hook as well. So I think Powell's in for a rude awakening here. I think he's gonna get pieced up on the feet. If he wants to take him down, we can take him down. But let's be safe because he's got some long legs. I'm sure he could pull off some tricky things off bottom. But I think on the feet, Horcher's just going to piece him up and win a 30-26 decision.
So on the last episode of Half the Battle, I had Drakkar Klose on, and he was the guy that welcomed Devin Powell into the UFC. And I asked Drakkar, is that ass whooping you gave him the kind of ass whooping where he'll never come back the same? I'm just wondering because I'm a betting man, you know what I mean? And he's like, let's just put it this way. I don't think he's going to win a fight in the UFC. You know what I mean? I mean, this is, like I said, bottom of the barrel. No disrespect, Maybe he'd whoop my ass. Maybe, right? But, yeah, I know exactly, right? Like, maybe, exactly. But when you watch him fight, I mean, it's reckless, but it's not reckless in the way that you like. Like, it's not like Thomas Almeida reckless, but like with this guy, like he'll back himself up into the fence, and he's very unathletic, and he'll throw like side kicks that are just flimsy, and he'll let you take him down. Look, he fought a guy that was coming off a 7-fight losing streak. One of those jobbers that's like 5-13. One of those guys, and that guy took down Devin Powell, and I believe he made it all the way to a decision with him. You know what I mean? He was like winning rounds and shit. Like this is an opportunity right here. I know the line's kind of steep, but listen, man,
Daryl
Horcher's a guy that he takes Khabib on 2 weeks short notice, and he's cutting like 30 pounds. He stuffed the first takedown of Khabib.
He stuffed one. And landed a left hand.
He made it to the second round. I mean, don't get me wrong, the under 1.5 at plus money cash there. But you know who's not going to last even a minute with Khabib? Devin Powell. Khabib would throw Devin Powell out of the octagon, man. You know what I mean? And Daryl Horcher's an experienced guy. He fought in Bellator. His only losses to a guy like Felipe Nova. And I know Felipe Nova might not have the best UFC record, but let's put it into perspective. Felipe Nova is a guy that goes to decisions with world-class competitors such as Renan Barão. Devin Powell is nowhere near that level. Like Devin Powell's the kind of guy that, some of the journeymen I know around here could go out there and beat him, man. So this is an opportunity where I understand if Horcher's too steep to play, maybe put him in an open parlay, but at minus 320, I just put 4 units on it. And if he fucks this up, I swear to God, But look, as far as the accident, man, it happened over a year ago. It happened back in May, and he overcame it. Look, he can come in here with 2 torn ACLs, 2 broken hands, and I still think he's going to beat Devin Powell. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, this fight kind of reminds me of Artem versus Chris Avila, you know what I'm saying? At the time, Artem was coming off that terrible performance against Alex White where everyone said he doesn't belong in the UFC. He's terrible. He has no business being there. And, you know, Avila was like 5-2, but then when I watched his local scene fights, I was like, this guy is complete, not garbage, but he just doesn't belong, you know what I'm saying? And what happened when they went out there and fought? Artem beat the shit out of him, kicked his legs in. And I think the same thing, it's going to be the same scenario here. I just think that the kid doesn't belong, and Horcher's just going to piece him up.
As far as their styles, just imagine that Devin Powell's like an ultra poor man's Chiesa. And that's like being nice as fuck. Nice. You know what I'm saying? It's just tall, lanky, but like not like the guys we like. You know what I'm saying? This is awful. And with Daryl Horcher, you know, short, stocky, explosive, can take you down, can knock you out. He's knocked out legit dudes like E.J. Brooks, who arguably beat Johnny Case. You know what I'm saying? So Daryl Horcher's legit, man. You know, and I guarantee you, Devin Powell ain't about to make his UFC debut against the #1 guy in the lightweight division, Khabib. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think Horcher's about to go out there and smoke him. I don't think you guys should be worried about the layoff or the motorcycle accident. He can be coming off worse things, and he's still going to go out there and beat Devin Powell. Now, next up, man, you ready to shed a tear? We got Dennis Seaver. He's -210. The comeback on BJ the Prodigy Penn is +175. And, man, it's 2017. And, you know, what sits true with you, man? The fact that you get to max bet against BJ Penn in 2017? Or the reality that you might be betting on Dennis Seaver?
Well, first off, you know, in my opinion, you know, BJ Penn's obviously a legend, but man, I think Dennis Seaver's a legend in his own right as well. I mean, he is the poster boy for German MMA at European MMA, you know, early on in the UFC. I mean,
not a 2-division champ legend.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, he's the king of the spinning back kick. Like, remember the Paul Kelly fight, the Spencer Fisher fight, even the Gray Maynard fight way back in the day that he lost. I mean, it was a great fight. I mean, Dennis Seaver is one of the pioneers for European MMA. And, you know, BJ Penn's a legend in his own right, two-way world champion. But my thing with this fight is I think Dennis has more left in the tank. Don't get me wrong, Dennis is old. He's on his way out as well. But I feel like he's still got those explosive traits in him. I feel like he's still gonna crack hard early in round 1. You know what happens after round 1 though? He'll slow down and he'll go back to the lead left kick and, you know, trying to look pretty. But I think that's gonna be enough in this spot. Look, my honest opinion on BJ Penn is that he should not be fighting. And look, I don't want to hear anything about he was fighting Rory, he was fighting Frankie, he was fighting Yair. Look, it's the way he lost. It's the way he just stood there and got teed off on. Look, don't get me wrong. Dennis would get his ass whooped in all those fights too, but Dennis would at least land a punch, and, you know, Dennis would at least land some punches. It's just that I think Dennis can play this thing 2 ways. He can either play it safe and, you know, throw the lead left kick out there, be pretty, and, you know, just frustrate BJ, or he could bang with him, and I think he'll win that way too. Like I said, I don't think BJ should be fighting. I think, just like how I said Guida is lost, I think he's lost. I honestly think he came back, you know, for the money, which is not an issue, but like I said, I think Dennis has more left in the tank. I think he beats him on the mat as well. Yeah. But like BJ's a BJJ black belt, but like look at all the stories we've heard, man. We've heard back when he was getting ready for the 3rd Frankie Edgar fight that you know, Mike Dolce brought, you know, Mersad and Nick Lentz down there, and we didn't hear good things, you know what I'm saying? That he was getting teed off.
And he came out on his tippy toes.
And he came out on his tippy toes for that fight. Okay, then he comes back against Yair and he just stands there and gets,
bro,
but that doesn't matter.
We get it, bro. Yeah, he's done.
He's done. And I think Dennis has more left in the tank. 30-27.
Oh, you don't think he's going to finish him? He's going to finish him, bro.
30-27.
I mean, bottom line is, in both of their primes, BJ would whoop his ass, but BJ is so far beyond his prime. And for anyone to use the example that, you know, well, look who BJ's been fighting. Like, that's such a dumb example. It's like, well, BJ, okay, those 6 guys that BJ fought, yeah, they are better than Dennis Siver, but those 6 guys ran BJ over with a truck. How's he going to come back the same? You know what I'm saying, man? And Dennis Siver, you know, he took that ass whooping by McGregor, but he took the ass whooping better than the way that BJ's been taking those ass whoopings, you know what I mean?
At least he could do something.
Yeah, at least at least he can get a significant strike record set on his face, you know what I'm saying, man? And against Kawajiri, he had a strong first round, very good balance with the takedown defense. It's just that, you know, that was pre-USADA. They were both juiced to the gills, so Kawajiri is kind of tough to take him down when he's, you know, getting that Japanese help, man. But in this spot, you know, we haven't seen Dennis Siver fight since the USADA era, so maybe he's looking a little soft. But bottom line, man, I mean, I still think he's got enough to beat BJ Penn. BJ is so shot that it's like, it's really not going to take much, man. In his prime, he would have went out there, boxed up Dennis Siver from range, and fucking took him down, took his back, and choke him out. But, you know, those days are long, long gone. You know what I'm saying? And Dennis Siver's about to get that victory. So, yeah, I'm picking Dennis Siver. Now, next up, we got Tim Means. He's minus 240. The comeback on Alex Garcia is plus 200. Now, you know, it's kind of funny because when Tim Means fought Alex Cowboy the first time, I said what's going to happen is, you know, Alex is going to go out there. He's stronger in the clinch. He's going to beat up his body. You know, he's going to do what he does to everyone, mix in the takedowns, and, you know, either choke out Tim Means or win a decision. So they go out there, and all of a sudden, Tim Means is like judo throwing fucking Alex Cowboy, putting him in the clinch, beating him up, taking him down with a fucking blast double, and then he fucked up what would have been his best performance by landing that illegal knee. So then they're about to fight again, and like I said in my first breakdown, you know, my first prediction of their fight, I said that Alex Cowboy was going to dominate him. Well, Tim Means dominated Alex Cowboy. So then the second time, I was like, oh, well, you know, I guess I was just wrong. Maybe Tim Means is stronger in the clinch than Alex Cowboy. Then Alex Cowboy goes out there, and he does everything I thought he was going to do the first fight. He goes out there, and he dominates Tim Means everywhere. And it's to the point where, you know, when he takes Tim Means down, Tim Means quick-tapped. And this isn't the first time Tim Means is quick-tapped. That fight with Matt Brown, he quick-tapped too. And, man, when you dominate someone and you get the chance to rematch them, why would you drop the ball, like, to that extent? And not only that, the quick tap, like, fight the hands, man. Like, show some toughness, man. And, you know, and then right away he's blaming it on an injury. I don't know where his mind's at. But, man, when he's on his game, that hand fighting is disgusting. The way he mixes up those elbows, the way he steps through with his punches, he's absolutely disgusting. He picks dudes apart, and he ruins guys. But, man, sometimes he will really drop the ball. And with Alex Garcia, that cardio, man, that cardio's got to be questioned, especially post-USADA, man. But pre-USADA, man, he goes out there, he bombs on dudes. But even back then, he would gas out, you know, past the second round. But he can hurt dudes real bad with his overhands and his left hooks. And he can also take guys down, as you saw in that Neil Magny fight. So the game plan here for Alex Garcia would be to take down, you know, kind of like he did to Sean Strickland, but keep it on the ground longer, obviously. And potentially, you know, Faraz and them probably saw the tape. Try to find a way to tap out Tim Means, because Tim Means will tap out fast in the fight. But if this stays standing and Alex Garcia starts gassing out, man, like you saw in his fight with Strickland, like you saw in his fight with Magny, he does struggle on the feet with those long-range strikers, especially when he's gassed out. I got to emphasize that. As much as it hurts to say me because of how he burnt me last fight, I'm going to go with the favorite Tim Means here. I think he'll find a way to capitalize when Alex Garcia gasses out.
Yeah, man. You know, Tim Means has been one of these guys that I've always been high on, where I said that he has a lot of potential. But to be honest, man, I feel like that potential has ran out. I mean, at 33, 34 years old, I mean, the time has passed him now. That Alex Cowboy fight was his opportunity to break into those rankings and finally start doing things in the sport. Not saying that he wasn't before, but look, I just don't. As a betting man, I wouldn't trust Means. I mean, we've seen him go out there and get taken down by Sabah Hamasi, John Howard. You know, he won those fights, obviously, in devastating
Cody
fashion.
Pfister.
Cody Pfister. I mean, his game has not improved. Like I was telling you, man. I wish that he would have switched camps to Jackson's like his old teammate Ray Borg, because I feel like maybe they could have patched up that big hole in his game, the jiu-jitsu. But like you said, like you hit on Alex, he gasses out, but early, he's hell on wheels early. And don't be surprised if Alex comes out here and cracks Tim as well. But later on, as his fight goes on, the straight punches could play a difference, and Tim could catch him and wobble him and get him out of there. But you know what, man, I'm gonna go with Alex in this spot, man. Plus 200. I don't want to call Tim a flake, but he's a 500 fighter and he is a flake. I feel like like you said, he is known to drop the ball, and Alex can utilize a game plan, like you said. Faraz can utilize a game plan to easily win 2 rounds here, man. I feel like if he comes out there, holds Tim against the fence, gets an early takedown, Tim will get frustrated. And like I said, I don't think his game's improved, and I feel like, at this stage in his career, man, it's disappointing. And I think at plus 200, I feel like it might even be worth a shot, man. I'm personally not gonna bet it, but I feel like the task and the game plan is easy in this spot. Hold him against the fence, get a takedown, and hold on for dear life in the third round when he starts getting tired. But like you said earlier, Tim could catch him with some straight punches, some elbows, and we've seen Alex wobbly several times before. And my thing with Alex is, even when he gets on top, sometimes he has a tendency just to lay there and get elbowed on the head, and Tim's going to be throwing those elbows if he's on bottom. But I'll go with Alex just to go the opposite way.
Dominic Reyes is minus 400. Joachim Christensen is plus 325. And Joachim Christensen is what we like to refer to as a jobber. Someone that's brought in to lose, someone that's brought in to make me look good. And initially, they had a Russian prospect to go in there and take care of Christensen, but now they brought in the very impressive Dominic Reyes. He's coming off a very devastating head kick knockout win, which you should check out, on YouTube on the regional scene, man. It was serious, and I think they're expecting him to go out there and finish Joachim quick. So we'll have to see what happens. Obviously, I'm staying away because he's not proven against real guys. I don't think he's been past the first round, but I'm gonna pick him to win this fight. I think they know. I think they know a little something here.
Yeah, I would never pick Christensen in a fight, so I'm going to go with Reyes by an early finish.
Now, I'm very excited about this one, man, because we got Felice Herrig. She's minus 115. She's taking on Justine Kish, who's minus 105. Now, Shaq, are you surprised that Felice Herrig is only minus 115 after a victory over the very hyped Alexa Grasso?
Yeah, it was disappointing when the line came out and Kish was the favorite, but they know the deal. The lines makers are the lines makers for a reason. Look, this is how this fight's gonna go down. Well, let me just say one thing: Justine Kish is nonstop action, and she's what we call an offensive juggernaut. Felice, I feel like she might be the more experienced fighter. But the thing is, I don't think she has the cardio or the heart to match with Justine Kish. And I don't think she can fight at the pace that Kish does. I feel like Kish is just straight aggression, always in your face. She does end up in bad positions a lot, but if you watch the tape, she finds her way out of these bad positions every single time, and she always comes out on top. She's like how little Felice Herrig is the little bulldog. We could almost call Kish that. She is a bulldog. She comes out and she wins every single exchange on the feet. Even though she gets tagged, she will get the better of it. And I just think that Felice does not want to engage in a firefight with this girl, but it doesn't even matter if she doesn't want to, because Kish will make it one. She'll present those openings, and Felice will just be so baited into engaging with her because her chin's wide open, or she feels like she can get a takedown and take her back, but she's gonna end up losing every single scramble, and she's gonna end up getting beat on the feet. And I honestly think Keish might even be worth a max bet here, man. I feel like she's a future top 10, top 5 chick at strawweight. And, like I said earlier, I question that heart of Felice Herrig. When things don't go her way, she finds a way out. Don't forget about the Randa Marcos quick tap on the Tough Show, the Paige Van Zandt fight. And, I know she's on a 2-fight win streak, but Kylan Curran, come on. And then, her next fight against Grasso, I feel like it was more of a case of Grasso having a little bit of stage fright. I don't know what it was. She wasn't committing on anything. And, it was easy for Felice to just walk her down and, land a couple right hands and the left high kick. But that isn't going to happen here. Keisha's going to get after her and break her.
Well said, my man. I mean, basically, I love Keish. I mean, she's basically like my chick Manny Sanchez. Non-stop action, bell to bell. She's going to try to win this fight. She's going to fight for your money like no other. Real quick, before I continue, can you address this whole bullshit about people acting like she lost the Anzarov and Yoder fights?
I mean, she clearly won the Androv. I thought she won every round. The first round, okay, yeah, Androv landed a couple right hands, but it wasn't anything serious. She gets hit every single fight. That's not going to change. But anytime Androv landed one big shot, Justine would land 3 quick shots. And we're always coming forward. We get those takedowns at the end of the rounds. And, we land the more violent shots that these chicks cannot handle. These chicks cannot handle that pressure. They can't keep up that pace. And, they start fading. So she lost every round in that fight. The Yoder fight, she lost the second round by, going for an arm bar and losing positions, which I'm not saying is not going to happen. At some point, she probably will lose position in this fight and get her back taken or get mounted, but she will find a way out of it. And, that third round, Yoder almost had the fight won. She was up ahead in that third round. But when Keish got back on the feet, we got right in her face like we always do. We cracked her with an uppercut, and Yoder wanted no more. She couldn't handle the pace anymore, and she pulled guard, and we won the fight.
And Felice Herrig is known for quitting. I mean, you saw the Paige Van Zandt fight, and just because, I hear people talking about how, this is a new Felice Herrig. This is a new Felice Herrig because she beat 1-5 Kaylin Curran. This is a new Felice Herrig because she arguably lost to Alexa Grasso, man. I mean, look, the second round she won, for sure. The third round she lost, for sure. All comes down to how you score that first round. You remember that knee at the end of the first round where she screamed, man.
She screamed, and she's going to eat some knees in this one.
Dude, she's going to eat a lot of knees in this one. The thing I love about Justine Keish is right when the bell rings, she's already landed 4 kicks in a row. And then they tie up in the clinch. She's landing knees to the body. Then she's throwing straight punches. And she does get hit with a lot of punches, but it's not flush like Yancy Medeiros versus Dustin Poirier flush. It's flush in the sense that it hits her, but she finds a way to slightly roll with the punches to where they don't affect her that badly. And man, she is non-stop. Watch her fight with Randa Marcos. She destroyed Randa Marcos bell to bell. And the thing I love about Keish, among other things, I love everything about Keish, but she'll get taken down. She'll get in a bad position. She will not only scramble out of the position, she'll scramble and get on top into a dominant position. Also, her sprawl, she's got a heavy sprawl. She's deceptively strong for the weight class. These chicks cannot believe how strong she is. And I feel like her Muay Thai background really pays dividends here, but it's not just that. Her ground game's legit too, man. And with Felice, look, I got a lot of respect for her. She's a vet in this game, but she needs to fight at her very slow pace. She can't handle when someone's in her face bringing the fight to her, someone that will take her best shot and keep going. And that's the kind of chick that Justine is. Justine, I mean, low-key, she's becoming one of my favorite chick fighters, man. And I feel like we're going to be making a lot of money on her in years to come. So, much respect to both these warriors, but I'm not going to actually disclose right now what I'm going to bet on it because I haven't decided yet, but it is that season, man, and I think we made some good points, so I'm leaning to go big on this. But you know what? If anyone's listening and they want to go big on this too, let's wait a little bit. Let's wait for that Felice Herrig money to come in. Let's try to get this plus money. Once that happens, let's move in. So be patient. Patience is a virtue. But yeah, I got Justine Keish all day. I think she's about to go out there handle business, and the old problems will reappear for Felice Herrig. Look, Felice Herrig will rebound. She'll get a win here or there. Man, she'll win. She'll beat Angela Hill. You know what I'm saying? She'll be right. That she might not win that one. You know what I'm saying? She'll win. She'll beat Heather Joe Clark again or some shit. You know what I'm saying? But look, Justine Kish, I'm telling you right now, look out for this chick. She is going to be winning a lot of fights in the UFC. So yeah, I'm thinking about going big here, man.
Yeah, man, I agree. Quiche all the way.
So Tim Boesch, I think we got to call one of our buddies, Kelton, for this fight.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, Shaq, it is max bet season, and on this next fight, I actually don't have anything but one of my favorite young handicappers. I like this kid a lot. Very cool guy, very humble guy. My man, MMA Kelton, is joining us right now during max bet season to talk about this Hendricks versus Boesch fight. Kelton, how's it going, man?
Man, it is going awesome, and I just want to say I am very honored to be on the show. Probably been a bucket list item of mine for about a year now. Huge fan of the show. Can't miss every fight week. Very happy to be on here and very happy to talk about this fight with you guys. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm ready to hear your thoughts on your 2 max bets.
Yeah, I mean, Kelton, look, man, we're going to talk about this Hendricks versus Boesch fight, but look, you're the guy that has the balls to max bet Johnny Hendricks when you know that, you know, he's won one time in his last 4 fights, but he has moved up a weight class. It looks like he's feeling good again. Tell us your reasoning and tell us why you're max betting Johnny Hendricks here.
All right, man. Well, firstly, I do want to say that I think the perception of Johnny Hendricks is a little bit more negative than it should be. So you look back, he did lose the title to Robbie Lawler in a fight that, you know, I think he won. Comes back, beats Matt Brown, then meets Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who not only is just a horrible stylistic matchup for him, that was his first fight away from Team Takedown, first fight with a new nutritionist. So there was just all kinds of recipes for disaster in that fight for him. Then fights Kelvin Gastelum, and you know, he doesn't get his ass completely whooped. He has a close fight with Kelvin. We all know what a badass Kelvin is. Hendricks had his moments in that fight, so I don't think that was too bad of a performance. Then goes out against Neil Magny, and I had a bet on Neil Magny there, and I thought Hendricks won that fight. It's really all about how you really score the fights. Sure, he did take him down consistently. He didn't really do a whole lot. I thought it could have been scored either way, but solid performance nonetheless. Didn't look bad by any means. So now he comes back up to 185 pounds against Hector Lombard, and I thought he looked great in this fight, man. He looked mobile. I think the confidence was really the most important factor for him in that fight. You know, his movement looked better than ever. His head movement, he landed good shots from the clinch, man. He did a really good job faking the takedowns and just launching those overhands and uppercuts. Just looked amazing, man, and I really like the way he spoke after the fight. I feel like he really has his confidence back. And looking at the other side of the table here, you got Tim Boesch, who I don't personally think very highly of. I think he wins fights. Most of his wins in the UFC are come from behind wins using that big power that he has. So I think what we're looking at here, I think Johnny Hendricks is the much more technical striker. I think he should be able to pick Boesch apart with the striking. I'm not worried about Tim Boesch hitting Hendricks with one of those big shots. I think Hendricks has a very underrated chin. The guy can take a shot. He took some of Lombard's very best shots in that fight. The really only fight he's been stopped in is that Stephen Thompson fight, and that was more of an accumulation of very sneaky strikes from a very, very elite striker there. I don't see Tim Boesch being able to land that big bomb. And another thing with the wrestling, I'm not convinced that Tim Boesch will be able to take Johnny Hendricks down. Sure, he's got a size advantage, but I think pound for pound, Johnny Hendricks is actually the much better wrestler. He's got very good takedown defense. He did a good job stuffing takedowns from Lombard. He got taken down once by Lombard, but got right back up to his feet. And I think, if anything, guys, this may be a hot take, I think Johnny Hendricks can go out there and land takedowns on Tim Boesch, man. You may say he's the smaller guy, but I just saw last week Rafael Dos Anjos, who's a much smaller man than Tarek Saffiedine. He was able to go out there and take down Tarek Saffiedine. So I like Johnny Hendricks. with the striking here, I think he can absolutely outstrike Boach here over the course of 3 rounds, maybe even land takedowns. I got Hendricks by decision, but we've seen Boach knocked out by very bad fighters in the past, like the Ed Hermans of the world. So a knockout wouldn't surprise me, but I think we're looking at a Hendricks decision.
Let me ask you what you think about this possible scenario, man, because look, obviously, since Hendricks is the smaller guy, I expect him to be the faster guy. I think he can go out there and score takedowns, like you said. He is definitely, I mean, there's no debating. He is a better wrestler than Tim Boach. There is that size advantage for Boach, but, you know, it's going to make him slower. But tell me what you think about this possible scenario, Kelton. What if Hendricks goes out there, wins the first 2 rounds, you know, pretty easily, he cruises, but Hendricks historically is known to fade in that 3rd round. You watch the Carlos Condit fight. You watch that first Robbie Lawler fight, he was out on his feet badly in that 3rd round, and especially the Carlos Condit fight. So are you worried at all about a situation where you know Tim Boach has this affinity for going out there in that 3rd round after he gets his ass whooped the first 2 and, you know, scoring a historic comeback like he did against Okami, and I think he had one more as well.
Tavares. Against
Brad Tavares, man. So are you at all worried about a situation like that?
I mean, anything could really happen here, guys, but I think at 185, this really is a great weight class for Johnny Hendricks. I don't think he's going to go out there and gas in the 3rd round. The 3rd round of the Lombard fight really was his most successful. I didn't think he looked gassed there at all, especially with the way I think the fight's going to be. I think it's going to be a very, you know, go in and get in and out, hit Boach with good shots, use that footwork, do a lot of conserving energy. So I'm not really worried about Johnny Hendricks gassing here, especially with the less weight he'll have to cut. I think he should be much fresher in there. And another thing, that Lombard fight was his first fight at 185, so he has a fight at 185 under his belt. So he knows what it's like to go in there and fight at 185 pounds. So I think we should even see a better Hendricks than he looked in that Lombard fight.
Oh yeah. So I wanted to ask you how worried are you about the size difference? And you know, I think you hit some good points. You know, Hendricks is like a 2-time national champion, and you know, I honestly thought the Hector Lombard fight was a close decision. I thought Hector looked good as well, but like you said, since the first Robbie fight at 170, he's obviously not responding to punishment the same up until that Lombard fight. You know, for once, he actually didn't fold and, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Not find his way out, but, you know, just sit back and, you know, stand there and get hit. Instead, you know, he fired back and, you know, he won the decision. And so, you know, I think it was the right move moving up to 185 because, you know, he's got the more water in his head. He's not killing himself to make weight. And so I think it was a good move. But, you know, in this fight, you know, if I was betting Hendricks, you know, I am worried about the size disadvantage because, I mean, we're talking about Boach, you know, who fought at 205 before. Like you said before, he's got a lot of comeback wins. But I actually agree with Kelton here because, you know, I don't think the fading late is going to be an issue here because of the 15 extra pounds Johnny has, man. And at the end of the day, he can always rely to, you know, ankle diving and holding on to him against the fence. And, you know, Boach, man, let's be honest here, he's on his way out. You know, he's coming here to get that 6-figure paycheck. And I think he'll accept getting beat, you know, at this stage in his career. Not saying that he doesn't have heart, but if things aren't going his way, I could see him just, you know, accepting it because, I mean, you know, he's on his way out and he makes good money. He's done all this, whereas Hendricks is still trying to make a name for himself. You know, I think Johnny's probably doesn't have all the money that he should have, but that doesn't matter. But I agree with you. You know, I wouldn't bet on it just because you know, the size really worries me. But I think you hit on some good points.
Does the size worry you at all, Kelton?
I mean, as somebody who is betting Hendricks, I think the size would be my biggest concern, but sometimes it's a factor. Sometimes it's not so much a factor, like we just saw, like I mentioned in the Dos Anjos Safadine fight. I think there's just too much of a skill difference here that maybe it plays a little bit of a factor, but I just think Johnny Hendricks is so much better. Like Shaq said, he's got a lot left in his career to give. I don't think it should be too much of a problem.
I'm with you, man. And before I let you go, Kelton, I heard Not only do you have one max bet on this card, I mean, it is max bet season. We can't forget that. But I heard you're taking a stab at the Italian stallion, Marvin Vettori.
No.
That is right. I do have 2 max bets on this card. I am actually 8-0 on my max bets in 2017. I did have this is my first time having 2 on one card. I did have 2 on that Jimmy Manuwa, Corey Anderson card, but unfortunately Tom Breeze did suffer an injury, so that canceled that one of my max bets. But yeah, man, I do have Marvin Vettori here. I think this is just an amazing matchup for him, man. So you got the young Italian stallion, improving fighter, amazing grappler. I like a lot. He did lose that fight to Antonio Carlos Jr., but we know what a beast that guy is. Marvin showed a lot in that fight. And on the other side, you got Vitor Miranda, who he does have that great striking, but I think there's a lot left to be desired when it comes to the takedown defense and the grappling. It's a pretty simple, angle on this fight, but it's a good one in my opinion. If Vitor Miranda can go and get taken down and grinded out by Chris Camozzi, what is this young Italian stud going to do to this poor man? I don't see anything that shows me that Vitor Miranda can stuff the takedowns of Marvin Vettori. So I like Marvin Vettori to go out there and win this fight on the ground. And I think he could probably surprise a lot of people in the stand-up exchanges if it even goes there. I'm assuming we'll see some striking in this fight. I think Marvin can surprise a lot of people and land some real good strikes on Vitor. I'm not saying he'll knock him out, but I think he can absolutely hold his own on the feet. But as somebody who is betting on Marvin, I would like to see him go for those takedowns, and I think he has a very easy night in front of him. I like him to get the I'll say a first round submission.
Yeah, man, I'm totally with you on your max bet against Vettori. I even told Dan
against Miranda.
Against Vitor. I think Vitor, me personally, I think he's a little old, not on his way out, but just old, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think Marvin beats him on the feet. Marvin's more explosive. He's faster. He's got better wrestling, better jiu-jitsu. I think he wins in every aspect of the game. And, he's got that King's MMA left kick. And I think it's going to hurt Vitor. And I think he's just way too explosive for him. I think he can take him down when he wants to. And, let's not forget, he almost finished Carlos Jr. in that second round. He was pounding, almost had him out of there. But, Carlos Jr. is no slouch. But I think if he gets Vitor in those type of positions, man, Vitor's going to accept it. He's going to feel that damage. And Marvin's just going to have his way with him.
Yeah, here's my thing, Kelton, with that fight. Obviously Marvin Vettori, he's a kid that has a tremendous amount of potential. And not only that, you've heard on the show many times, we talk about the guys that thrive in King's MMA. And Vettori is absolutely one of those guys. He's not, because when I heard Mac Desi was training at King's MMA, I was like, oh my God, they're about to ruin this guy, right? But Vettori's the kind of guy that's going to come out here looking better every single fight. And, you mentioned the southpaw stance, the signature King's MMA left body kick that he brings to the table. So here's my question, Kelton. Because there is the possibility that he goes out there and takes him down. And I think everything you said from a logical standpoint makes sense. But I want to make an excuse for Vitor Miranda because, I know he goes out there, he loses to Chris Camozzi, he gets taken down by Chris Camozzi. On paper, those are some really bad things, right? That you don't just get taken down by Chris Camozzi, but I really maintain this theory that, not saying he'd beat him in a rematch, but I really believe that he was sick in that fight, man. He didn't look like himself. Maybe, him being 38 years old, maybe that's catching up with him. But let's say that Vitor shows up like he did when he was on his 3-fight win streak, when he was head kicking everyone. And let's say that Marvin Vettori goes out there, they want to stand and bang a little bit. I'm curious to see if, Vitor's, his veteran savvy, if he can go out there, capitalize on some openings, find a head kick. But based on the pace and the pressure that Marvin Vettori brings to the table, I do think that he's going to be too much for the aging Miranda. So, Kelton, man, I wish you the best of luck. And before you go, I never said my opinion on the Johnny Hendricks-Tim Bosch fight. And you know what, man? I'm with you. I'll tell you why. I like it when these guys that struggle to cut weight move up in weight class. And I'm not talking about a guy like Clay Guida, who, we know that's more of a lazy type thing. That's more of like a, you're at the end of your career type thing. With Hendricks, he really needed to make a change. He was on a 3-fight losing streak. And, the fight against Magny, that was very close. But he goes back up to 185. And, goes out there against a very dangerous Hector Lombard who, I mean, you remember that sprawl Hector Lombard had against Jake Shields? You remember when he judo throwed Jake Shields for 3 rounds? I mean, Hector Lombard is not a guy that you go out there and beat easily. And Hendricks went out there. He looked lighter on his feet than he has in years. And he was able to get back to the combination striking that he showed in that first Robbie Lawler fight, the one that won him the title, man. You know, the way that he sets up his jab, he mixes it up to the body, the leg kicks. The knee was a big weapon against Hector Lombard. I liked almost how Hector would go for a takedown, and there was almost, he had obviously the check knee, but what I'm referring to here is he had like that Uriah Faber jump knee where, you know, you got the single leg and then he goes for the jump knee with the other knee. I really appreciated the work that Hendricks brought to the table. Now, Bosch is always a tough out. He's been in the UFC for a long time for a reason, man. But this is a situation where Hendricks should go out there and beat him in every area. You know, maybe I would be a little bit worried about the 3rd round rally, but not too much. My pick is Johnny Hendricks. And Kelton, man, I wish you the best of luck with your max bets, bro.
Appreciate it very much, man, and I appreciate you having me on the show. It was fun chatting with you guys.
Oh, absolutely. We'll do it again soon, man. Before you go, let the fans know where they can follow you. Anything else you want to tell them, go ahead.
Yeah, man. The fans can find me on YouTube at MMA Kelton. I do breakdowns for just about every card. I do roundtable breakdowns for all the pay-per-views. I do a couple other series. I've been doing live reactions lately. All kinds of fun shit over on my YouTube channel, so would appreciate if you guys check that out. You can follow me at Twitter at MMA Kelton. I'm down to talk fights with just about anybody. You can follow my tracked bets at Bet MMA Tips, MMA Kelton, Capper Tech, MMA Kelton. Pretty much everything is MMA Kelton at this point, but yeah, man, that's just about it, man. Appreciate you guys having me on once again. Bucket list item checked.
You got it, man. Let's get it this weekend, all right?
Hey, let's do it, man.
Well, Kelton, man, he's a sharp young lad.
Yeah, man, I like him a lot. I'm looking forward to talking with him more in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Good luck with him with that max bet on Johnny Hendricks. Hope he comes through for you. But, dude, main event of the evening. Let's get right down to business. Look, Kevin Lee is minus 130. The comeback on Michael Chiesa is plus 110. What are you thinking, man? Kevin Lee's been looking better than ever.
I mean, it's a tough fight, man. You know, me personally, man, after Michael Chiesa's last fight, you know, when I bet on Dariush and he burned me bad, I said I never bet against him unless he's fighting, you know, the top of the division, like the Edsons of the world or the, you know, the Michael Johnsons, the Poiriers of the world. But, you know, man, I really like this Kevin Lee guy a lot, man. I feel like, you know, he's still got some, you know, bad habits. You know, he's still a little stuck in the mud a little bit. But, I mean, he's got that hard right kick. And, you know, we've seen Chiesa hurt to the body, you know, several times. And, you know, Chiesa gets, you know, in Chiesa's fights, all of his fights kind of go the same way, man. I mean, even dating back to Tough when he's fighting, you know, James, Vick, and Lawrence, you know, he starts off getting teed off on the feet, or at least losing. And then when he gets on top, something just happens and the fight's over. He's so heavy. I mean, this is a guy cutting down from like 190, and he's like 6'1". So I just feel like when he gets those double underhooks against these guys, they just panic. But, you know, I don't think that's going to happen here because I can almost say the same thing for Kevin Lee, man. Like, when Kevin Lee gets on top, he does the same shit as well, man. Like, he pounds guys out. You know, he breaks guys like Trinado. You know, Chiesa did as well, but Kevin Lee finished him. And, you know, he can take hard body kicks. We haven't really seen him hurt to the body like we've seen Chiesa. I mean, yeah, you know, he got knocked out by a jiu-jitsu guy, but
by a jiu-jitsu coach.
You know, he got knocked out by a jiu-jitsu coach, but you know, it's good that he got those L's out the way. And you know, Chiesa's gotten his L's out the way. So, you know, Chiesa had to learn some hard lessons, even though I don't consider the Lozon fought a loss because I honestly think he was going to come back and win that.
Well, I lost my Chiesa ticket there.
You know, you know what I mean, but you know, it's good that he's taken his lessons, but man, how I see the fight coming down, I see Kevin Lee blasting him with that right kick to the body, and I feel like, you know, Chiesa's relied on, you know, muscling these guys to the ground and, you know, just ending the fight, but I feel like Kevin's going to stuff that, man. I feel like he's going to struggle to get Kevin to the mat, and I feel like Kevin's just going to eventually wear him down with that body kick, and, you know, I feel like Chiesa's going to actually, he's gonna get broken in this one, man. I feel like Kevin Lee's another future top 10 guy, and I think he'll pull it off.
You make some great points, but I mean, I think Kevin Lee is a freak athlete, man. I mean, like, not only recently, but you date back to a couple of his other fights, like with Brazeres, with John Tuck. I mean, he throws like flying kicks and shit. He's super athletic. That head kick he rocked Trinaldo with, oh my god. And also his chokes are serious. But here's the deal, man. With Chiesa, I know on paper it looks like, oh, you know, Kevin Lee's the athletic, the explosive, the dynamic guy, and you know, Chiesa looks like a bum. But Chiesa he doesn't just find ways to win. He beats legit dudes. Like, he beats Benny. He beats Vic. He beats Iaquinta, Trinaldo, Jim Miller. Like, those are legit dudes. He finished most of those dudes. I mean, you don't just finish Beneil Dariush. You don't just finish James Vick, Al Iaquinta, Jim Miller. You know what I'm saying? He finds a way to win. And also, I feel like it's just his body type that's kind of like, you know, that kind of maybe looks weird to people that they think that he's not athletic, because you look at his technique. I mean, he went out there and dropped Masvidal with a 1-2. You know what I'm saying? And I know Cruikshank dropped him too. That guy's athletic. That guy's a freak. But look, fucking Chiesa, and Masvidal said that Chiesa was the hardest he's ever been hit at 155. So this guy has underrated power. Not only that, he's got underrated ground and pound. You know, we watched that Jim Miller fight live, and we thought like, oh, Jim Miller took one shot of ground and pound to quit. But then I watched it the other day. It was not one shot of ground and pound to quit. He was eating elbow after elbow. Then he ate a couple shots straight on the chin. He didn't know where he was, and then he got tapped out. So that wasn't one shot of ground and pound to quit. And also his body lock. I mean, so he goes out there against Benny. Benny starts hitting him with big leg kicks, and then once Benny starts slowing down a little bit, Chiesa got him with that body lock to the lateral drop, and I couldn't believe it. When they were tied up, I couldn't believe the size difference, because Benny ain't a small 155er. Benny's talked about going to 170 in the past. And Chiesa, I mean, he uses his size so properly in there. And, man, his squeeze is nasty, because look, against Beneil Dariush, you know, they start off and Benny's like, oh yeah, this guy ain't gonna tap me, right? Then all of a sudden the choke's not even fully locked in and Benny's tapping, because that's the kind of squeeze that Michael Chiesa possesses. And I understand he's coming off a back injury, I understand he's coming off a year layoff, but he said that he needed that time off to heal, he needed that time off to be better. He feels like he's, you know, in the best shape that he's ever been. I know everyone says that before a fight, but he feels like he needed that to get to where he is now, and I feel like he's the kind of guy that rises to the occasion. Because look, if you can lose your father while you're on a reality show and then go out there and win the reality show, that shows the mental fortitude of Michael Chiesa. I'm not worried about any of this press conference shit. That's all for promotion. I'm not worried about that having any effect on the fight. I just think that I'm not even going to say like weather a storm, because it's not like Kevin Lee brings that much of a storm. Kevin Lee is more of a guy that finds the way to win. They're both guys that find ways to win. But I do think that, you know, when Kevin Lee gets on top of you, that's not the end of the world. When Michael Chiesa gets on top of you, that's the end of the world. So that's what I think is going to be the difference. And I think that Michael Chiesa is going to go out there and stop Kevin Lee in the third round.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a... You know, Chiesa, like I said, man, I'm scared to bet against him, man. He's too tough, he's too resilient, and he always finds a way to these guys with ground and pound and choke. So, you know, I'd stay away from a bet and just enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm considering him Chiesa at plus money, but I haven't decided yet, so stay tuned at bestfightpicks.com. Now,
I think it's time for the Big Marley Minute. So joining us now, Kyle Marley. Kyle, how's it going?
Great, man. How you doing?
Doing amazing. We're just chilling here, and I heard you got some DraftKings advice for us.
Always. You ask the questions, I got answers.
Man, Sasaki must have scored a lot of points last week, huh? Because, I mean, you know, it's funny because everyone joked about how Scoggins could whoop his ass, then run into a choke, but no one actually thought it would happen again. And then it happened again.
I'm one of those people, man. I had zero Sasaki. I didn't have a whole lot of Scoggins, but the Scoggins that I did have, those lineups killed me. They were good other than him. yeah, man, you're right. Sasaki scored 101.5 points, and Scoggins only had 36.5. So for how much each of them cost, that's ridiculous. 101 from a huge pump play. That's going to win a lot of GPPs.
Now, Kyle, you mentioned that Colby Covington was a guy that goes out there, and he usually sets DraftKings records. How did he do this time?
Yeah, man, I was thinking originally I was going to do the Covington fade, but as I started making more lineups, he just fit in so perfectly at his price at 8,500. So I ended up using a lot more Covington than I thought I would. He was the highest owned player in the GPPs, though. I am looking at 56% drafted in the Haymaker. So that's pretty high ownership. He only got 96.5 points, though. I was talking last week how he's usually getting over 100, and that's beautiful. However, usually he costs around $10,000, so that's 10x of his salary. So he basically beat his salary, which was $8,500 last week. He got over 10x, and that's what you want to see. 10x your salary, and you're good to go.
So, I mean, what was the biggest mistake we made? Was it that thinking Tarek Saffiedine was a live dog?
That was one of the two. I would say not only did I think he was a live dog, but I thought he would do a little bit more action, maybe try to get some takedowns of his own. But yeah, I definitely learned my lesson with Saffiedine. Don't pick boring strikers who are just going to wait for their shots. Basically, you don't want to wait around in DraftKings. You want the active fighters, people who are going to go for the takedown. So yeah, I screwed up, took too much Saffiedine. And our other mistake, man, you already mentioned it, Sasaki. We should have faded dumb Scoggins, but we didn't do it.
I know, man. I'm gonna regret that one, right? The next time he fights, you know, I'll make sure to make a mental note that Justin Scoggins hasn't learned his lesson yet. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely noted.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, what are some lessons you take from last week and move it on to this week?
Man, I didn't learn a whole lot other than that Saffiedine mistake. I mean, I only played Saffiedine because he was so cheap on DraftKings. If he was more expensive, I wouldn't have played him. But just thinking back, that really wasn't the smartest play. And Sasaki was cheaper. That was the one mistake I think I made, was I could have had Sasaki in the lineups that I had Saffiedine in. And we knew Scoggins makes those mistakes. So, I mean, that was the one thing I learned last week. But I've been in it for a long time. I've seen a whole lot of these mistakes. So you learn as you go, but I've already learned a lot of it. So what did you learn?
I mean, I learned that I should never trust Justin Scoggins ever again, even if I think that he would be a high point scorer, because, he's got that point karate style. When he goes out there and gets choked, I mean, Sasaki, even though he took that ass whooping, the fact that he won via submission, that scores more points than all the shots and suplexes that Scoggins landed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good learning right there. Let's fade Scoggins next time.
Yeah, now let me ask you this, man. For all the guys that are out there killing it on DraftKings, is it really a matter of just having multiple lineups? I mean, if I only have one lineup, is that kind of like trying to play the lotto, basically?
No, definitely not. But it also depends on what tournament you're entering as well. So the more people that are in that tournament, like the $3 Haymaker, where there's, or $4, whatever it is nowadays, where there's like 20,000 people in it, it does hurt you a little bit to have one lineup, because a whole bunch of other people are going to have that one lineup as well. So the more shots you could take, the more combinations you have, the better chance you have. And that goes with any tournament as well. But some of the best players only have one lineup each week, and they clean up. If you have the same lineup in all the tournaments and that lineup hits, then you win literally all the money that week. So I don't think that's a bad idea to have one lineup. It just sucks when, your first fighter goes out there and puts up a 0, and then you're not going to win a GPP. So that's why I like to have more than one lineup. I mean, I got more chances to hit that first place prize, and that's always the goal, that first place prize. You don't want to double your money in a tournament, because you could do that in a 50-50 where you don't have to finish top 25% to double your money. So it really depends on what tournament you're in. And what type of player you are. You could be a one lineup type of player, and it could work out for you. But I would definitely recommend maybe entering a 3-entry max. and doing all three of those entries and see how multiple entries work for you.
So, Kyle, this weekend, the main event, you got Michael Chiesa taking on Kevin Lee. And, I mean, this strikes me as the kind of fight where there's going to be a bunch of crazy scrambles. You know, both guys might get rocked. Is this the kind of situation where you put both guys on your lineup?
Yeah, cash games, the head-to-heads, the 50-50s, the double-ups, I do like it. Both of them on your lineup, that definitely works. You're going to get more than 100 points between the two of them combined. So I always like that. But again, tournaments, you don't want to stack in tournaments because you want 6 wins. It's always the goal, 6 wins in tournaments. So it depends on what you're playing, but as long as you're doing a bunch of head-to-heads or double-ups, I do like that play a lot. Stack them both in there. Take your 130 points or whatever is going to be scored in this fight. But this is also a good one to pick your fighter in GPPs. Whoever you think is going to win, they're going to score 10x of their salary. So if Chiesa wins, he's going to get more than 80 points because his salary is $8,000 on DraftKings. So 10x that, he's going to get more than 80 points. He's going to be looking good on GPPs. However, I'm going with the Lee on this one. I like Lee everywhere this fight goes. I like his odds too. So at 8,200, if he wins, he's definitely going to be scoring more than 82 points. So I'm going to have Lee in a lot of my lineups. But if you're picking Chiesa, he definitely has to be on your team because whoever wins this fight is going to score a lot of points.
Now, do you think that this girl, Justine Kish, could be a secret weapon on people's lineups just because she's a relentless point fighter? It's nonstop action, bell to bell. She's always attacking her opponent. That's the kind of person I want on my DraftKings lineup, right? But wait, Kyle, she's not going to finish the fight, though. That's the one thing.
Yeah, I would agree on both of those. Although both fighters in this fight, whoever wins, again, back to the last fight, they're going to score a lot of points because it's going to be a lot of takedowns, a lot of ground transitions, and that's going to rack up the points. So, again, whoever you like in this fight, I think should be on your team. I like Kish as well, whatever her name is. I like her, and I've been on her and Herrig in their last fights. So let me check. Herrig in her last fight, she was the big underdog. Grasso came in pretty heavily touted, and Herrig got 76 points, and her salary was $7,100. So she got that 10x. I don't think it's as hard of a fight as her last one with Kish, but I think it's going to be a lot of ground scrambles, and those points are just going to rack up. So I'm going to have a little bit of both of these fighters in my lineups, honestly, because I'm not a one lineup kind of guy. So let's say I have 10 lineups. I'm probably going to put Kish in about 4 of them and maybe Herrig in 2 or 3 of them because I definitely want the winner on my team. So I'll play them both.
So we're thinking both guys in the main event, Justine Kish. Now, you know, let's get 2 favorites in there to kind of pad the team a little bit. What are you thinking about Daryl Horcher or Eric Koch? Because in my opinion, both of them have the potential to go out there and finish their opponent in impressive fashion.
Yeah, I agree. I think Horcher will be a pretty popular play because, I mean, Powell is not good. So Horcher should get a finish, honestly. So if he can get a finish, he's going to get a lot of points. You just want to make sure that finish is in the first or second round. If you think he can get a first or second round finish, he should be on your team. I'm just not sure. I feel like he's going to be so owned. I don't know how much of him I want. Because let's say he's 40% owned by the field, and I have 10 lineups. If I really like Horcher, I need to have more than 4 lineups with him on it because I want to have more than the field has of him. So if they're 40%, I need to have about 60%. So I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. But if you go down to Eric Koch, he's 600 less than Horcher. And, yeah, man, Guida's getting old. Koch's looking good. He just doesn't fight enough for me. You never know if he's injured going into a fight or not. But I definitely like the Koch play more than Horcher just because he is 600 less. And, like you said, he can go out there and get a finish.
Kyle, before I let you go, man, is there anyone that's flying under the radar that I'm not looking at that you think maybe has a lot of potential to score some serious points?
I don't really think so. I don't like this whole bottom tier. I think your best shot would be Kimball at 7,500. He could go out there, get the first-round knockout over Stansberry. And that's what you like in the GPPs. You want the all-or-nothing kind of guys. So Kimball would be, I think, the best pump play, unless you think somebody cheaper than him can go out there and get a finish. I mean, hopefully there's a lot of BJ Penn believers. I will be rooting for BJ Penn, but I don't think I can be picking him on my DraftKings team. So I don't know. I would say Kimball would be your best pump play. If he wins, he's going to score a lot of points.
Well, Kyle, it's always a pleasure getting the chance to talk to you, man. I got to step up my DraftKings game big time, you know. The bets are cashing. Top 5 in Gamble Master, top 5 in Pick to Click, top 5 in Tout Master, but the DraftKings is seriously lacking. So it's great to have you on the show, man, trying to strengthen up my game, and all the fans appreciate it. Kyle, let the audience know where they can follow you, and anything else you want to tell the fans, go ahead.
Yeah, follow me, Big Marley 3 on Twitter or wherever else. Those are pretty impressive stats, Daniel. I like to hear that, and you will get better at DraftKings, man. The more you play, the better you will get. The more you play, the more you'll learn, and it'll work out for you, man. I promise. A good player like you, you're going to be profiting in no time. And yeah, hit me up on Twitter. I'll talk fights at DraftKings anytime. Thanks for having me again, man.
Hey, the longer you stay my friend, the better I'll get at DraftKings, man.
Amen.
All right, brother. Talk to you next week. Or actually, we got a week off. I'll talk to you in 2 weeks, Kyle.
All right, man. Sounds good. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and good luck.
All right, man. You too. Peace.
Kyle Marley. Hopefully this week I kill it on DraftKings, man. I've been getting destroyed.
Yeah, I gotta learn some more about that DraftKings, man. It sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. Let's talk about some of these prelims, man, because look, we got Carla Esparza. She's minus 270. The comeback on Marina Moroz is plus 230. Now look, I cashed Randa Marcos as a plus 240 underdog against Carla Esparza, but does Marina Moroz possess the skills to stop the takedowns and be able to make it close enough to where she could get a split decision on the judges' scorecards?
Like you just said, man, I feel like this fight has split decision written all over it, man. Like we all know, not too many chicks at that weight class have the ability to wrestle on Esparza's level. But she's a one-dimensional fighter. That's all she has. I mean, you know, Moroz has got some good boxing, but, I mean, it ain't nothing too serious. You know, it's got split decision written all over it. If you want to take a shot on Moroz, I totally understand, because it's more than 2-1, and you know it's gonna come down to how the judges scored at the end, and you know that she's better on the feet, and you know Carla wants no part of any exchanges, so she's gonna be doing a lot of ankle diving, and you know generally she has success. You know, her last fight, me personally, I thought she won. It was close, but like you know, same things in the past. You know. Not that good on the feet, but just one-dimensional wrestling. But I'm going to go with Esparza in this one, 29-28 split decision.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Esparza as well, but, you know, my hesitation for a bet is the fact that we haven't seen Marina Moroz in a while, and she could make the proper adjustments to go out there and beat Carla Esparza, because the blueprint's been laid. Look, you got to have a low stance. You got to pop that jab. You know, don't throw any unnecessary kicks. And sprawl, man. I mean, if you can keep this fight standing, you can beat Carla Esparza. Now, granted, Carla Esparza has gotten better on her feet, but I do feel like Carla will find a way to win. I'm not going to be surprised by the upset one bit if it happens, but this isn't something that I want to invest my money on. For some reason, I was more confident in Randa to get it done, just because she has that Iraqi wrestling background, you know what I'm saying? And I know Marina Moroz doesn't have that at all. So, yeah, I'm going with Carla here. Well, Shaq, we got to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So, Shaq, what is the fight to watch for UFC OKC?
Man, my fight to watch is going to be Tim Means versus Alex Garcia. I mean, Tim Means, he's always action, one of the flashiest strikers in the division. And, you know, Alex Garcia is one of the most powerful strikers in the division. So it's that, you know, classic matchup of speed and technique versus big looping power punches. So I'm interested to see that. Plus, I want to see if Alex can take him down.
Yeah, definitely, man. Especially after Tim Means' last performance, you know, it went down the way it went down. Then 2 seconds later, he's complaining about an injury. Yeah. He's got a lot to prove here.
I mean, Tim needs this win. If he loses this, I mean, you know, Dana White and the UFC brass, they love him, you know, because the way he fights. And if he loses this, I mean, man, it's all the way back down.
And with Alex Garcia, if he wins this, that's a 2-fight win streak again.
Huge for him if he wins.
Yeah,
this.
It'd be great, you know, because he came into the UFC with a lot of hype, but had a couple stumbling blocks, and let's see if he's able to rebound here. Well, not rebound because he's coming off a win, but I'm just saying let's see if he's able to string together a couple wins. Now, my fight to watch is Eric Koch versus Clay Guida. Look, I feel like both these guys are longtime veterans of the sport, but one of them is a youthful veteran. That's Eric Koch. He's only 28 years old, but he's been in there since the early days of the WEC, and he's fought everybody. And I feel like now he's poised to make his title run. He's really fitting into the weight class at 155 pounds. And Clay Guida, what can you say? He's always exciting to watch, always brings it. He's beat some legends of the sport. I cannot wait for that matchup.
Yeah, man. Clay Guida, like you said, has got some serious names on his resume, but, you know, Eric Koch, the new breed, man. I like his fighting style. I love his offense, and I love his defense, too.
So, Shaq, who is your fighter to watch for UFC OKC?
Man, my fighter to watch is Justine Kish, man. You know, I just think she's going to open up some eyes this weekend, and she's going to crack those rankings come Monday. And, you know, I just think we're going to have a new strawweight contender.
My fighter to watch is Daryl Horcher. Look, I feel like this is the UFC's way of being like, look, Daryl, we really appreciate the fact that you took the Khabib fight on a week short notice. We know you were just in that terrible motorcycle accident. This is our way of saying thank you. Just take this guy and do whatever you want to do to him. Thank you very much, Daryl. That is my fighter to watch. Well, we want to thank you guys so much for checking out this very special edition of Half the Battle. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Best Fight Picks. Make sure you follow Shaq at MMA Genius 05. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Hook up those 5-star reviews. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.